Hi everyone, #1 Marmaduke fan here. The last time I reviewed a Spider-Gwen comic, I said it wasn't the worst comic I had read all year. It was a violent fever dream about Mary Jane getting to punch a straight white male in the face and leave him for dead. A true issue of the problematic trope of men in refrigerators. Oh, I'm sorry, that only works one way. Wow, what a week it's been for Comicsgate. Everything about the feminist fangirl channel, it's just gone. Whatever. We continue on. Not today, Satan. All day, every day. So anyway, so I was saying no more Spider-Gwen. This was already on my pull list, and I figured, well, I was annoyed at Hannah Blumenreich for that toxic, violent Mary Jane story, and I'm not mad at Rodriguez. I don't know who was responsible for the fantasy about punching a straight white male in the face, if that was Jason Latour or Hannah Blumenreich who contributed that story. So I didn't take it off my pull list. But every time I read a Spider-Gwen, I'm rooting for it. I think this has the potential for heart. This has the potential for goodness. But that's one of the reasons why I haven't taken it off my pull list, is I see the potential for something great, but it's just way too long. I can't sing. Sorry, guys. All right, so I'm skipping a few of the front pages because there's something at the end that will give us a lot to talk about. But first few pages is this running gag of the bento bandit or the bodega bandit. He's a privileged kid who robs only certain specific types of foods, and apparently he's a running gag where Spider-Gwen catches him, but this time she's Gwenum. She's got the Venom suit, and she's really dark and violent, and she almost maybe kills him, but then something snaps her out of it, and she leaves him alone. So a running gag works if you can establish it for people. The only people who know that's a running gag are people who have been following the Spider-Gwen comic this whole time. By the way, I have noticed I am completely incapable of keeping Gwenpool and Spider-Gwen straight when I talk about them. They should just give Spider-Gwen her own name, because Gwenpool has kind of taken on more popularity than even Spider-Gwen had. But anyhow, so this Detective DeWolf, she kind of puts two and two together and figures out that just as Gwen Stacy goes missing and her dad gets hurt, Spider-Gwen starts. She's called Spider-Woman, by the way, in the universe. They call her Spider-Gwen on the cover, but no one calls her Spider-Gwen in the comic. She's Spider-Woman. So suddenly, Gwen Stacy's dad is hurt and maybe dying in jail thanks to the Rhino, and Spider-Gwen is suddenly acting strange and not capturing the bodega bandit. And DeWolf puts two and two together, copy-pasted face. So I have said I like Rodriguez's style. It clicks with me. It clicks with me because it is... I use the phrase expressive style too much without defining what I mean. This is a loose style. And the reason I will like loose styles, even if there are technical errors, is loose styles show a little bit of kind of the spontaneity of the artist as they're drawing. So this is kind of a weird, wonky face, right? Where she's got this giant, squashed nose, where in a drawing style where everything was technical, this would stand out as a sore thumb, as a bad drawing. And this is, I would still fix that if I had sketched that. But in the context of a loose style where things are kind of quickly laid down on the page, errors like that work more because you're reading it not as tight, polished diagram of the human face, but as quick, loose sketch of everything. And Rembrandt's sketches, some of them especially, you could tell he sketched them in about 30 seconds, and one line will be used to symbolize a whole giant billowing cloak, and it doesn't look like a realistic billowing cloak with every fiber and, at the texture of the garment. It looks like one little swoopy-doop line. And the thing is, Rembrandt can get away with that because Rembrandt's Rembrandt, and he spent decades drawing and painting to develop that beauty. I see the hints of that kind of beauty in Rodriguez's style, where he's quickly, loosely sketching things out, but he doesn't quite have... one artist in a million will ever even be able to come close to Rembrandt's ease of drawing. But that's the type of appeal I'm talking about, where it's not technically, highly refined and polished, but it's still fun, and it's fun to look at, even if it's a bit loose. But then this copy-pasting stuff, Comp Squad, is the antithesis of that, because the whole point is you're drawing quickly, you're drawing loosely, you're drawing to sketch the idea down, and who cares if there's a few errors? It's fun. But then copy paste is a product of Photoshop and using a tool that's just, this is the opposite of drawing. And he just draws your hands up, taking a note. This, if I could change one thing about SJW Marvel art, it would be this. And this is an older technique than SJW Marvel. They've been doing this since the 90s, essentially since computers allowed us to do this. But this always takes us out of the story, even if you try to be subtle with it, because unless someone is literally frozen in time, they do not stay perfectly like that. Even if there was a difference of a fraction of a second, the face would still be different. People breathe. People contort their facial muscles. And this is a moment where we should see that to tell us something about the psychology. Detective DeWolf should be kind of like squinting her eyes and looking down and taking a note and looking at her paper as she figures out that maybe Gwen Stacy and Spider-Woman are one and the same. And then the male cop praises her by calling her a Sherlock Holmes. Well, I love Sherlock Holmes so much, and this feels like they're just propping up this character by praising her. It is a good deduction that at the same time Spider-Woman's acting weird, Gwen Stacy's missing. So that is a good lead, but it's not like a Sherlock Holmes-esque solving a mystery. And for him to make that observation, he would have to be making the same connection that Detective DeWolf is making. So he's as much Sherlock Holmes in his deductive skills as she is. So it just felt like random praise coming out of nowhere. And there's more of that with black teenage Reed Richards. First off, he props himself up by saying how much cooler he is and smarter he is than Tony Stark. Thank you, young Reed Richards. That's exactly what I need to see to know that you are super smart and super cool. You talk about Tony Stark and how much smarter you are than he is. That is an excellent gauge for me to know that you are a super smart kid genius. At the front, they showed him talking about how he built a Stargate out of Legos, which is something that Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur already did. She built a giant robot Triceratops out of Legos, and that was fun because as soon as she got in a fight, the Legos fell apart, and it was humorous, and the payoff of the gag was her robot fell apart, so it worked. Here again, we have a kid teenage genius building something out of Legos that is space age technology. You could be really good with Legos, you could be really smart, but that doesn't mean that Legos give you the capacity to bend the fabric of time and space. Another weird thing, he says, I'm a Reed Richards. Is his dad named Reed Richards? Is there a heritage of Reed Richards going back a while who have a rivalry with Tony Stark? Who is this character? Sitting around talking. What I've said is I've seen hints of good stuff in this. So yeah, sitting around talking. But look, Rodriguez gives us a little variety in the sitting around and talking. Kind of a tee-hee, them joking about Dunkin' Donuts moment, and it's kind of paced well, and it's only one page, and then wham, she knocks them both out. Good comedic timing. There are some other pages I may have skipped with some good solid color. It's that same bit of using a single color throughout to give it the most punch and then variety. I think this is pretty well colored. Annoying. This isn't really an SJW Marvel thing, but like making reference to not Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but mutated Revenja Turtles. I don't know. It seems like it should be legal just to call, if you're going to make a joke about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, just call them the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And that would be fair use, right? It's not like Marvel's ripping off the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for a comic. They're just having the kids in this universe watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and that'd be a subtle thing where we connect with them and say, oh, I like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, he likes Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that's so cool. But then it's Revenja Turtles and Dunk Donuts instead of Dunkin' Donuts. Just, I guess this is an alternate universe where things can be different, but it's always annoyed me when they do like a faux version of something in our world. Like, let's go watch Star Warrior time, you know? Just tell us what it is you're referencing, and we'll actually feel a bit more of a connection with them because they like Star Wars, we like Star Wars. They read Batman comics in Marvel Comics, and we read Batman comics in the real world. All right, so Cindy Moon, the last time we heard about Cindy Moon is someone was affirming how amazingly smart she was. She's smarter than Norman Osborn. She's smarter than Kurt Connors. And she's apparently created Spider-Gwen. I almost said Gwenpool. And Spider-Gwen has come to confront her, and Spider-Gwen essentially blames Cindy Moon for turning her into Spider-Woman and for all this dark, violent rage that Spider-Woman has. And this is actually a pretty cool scene where, yeah, a lot more talking, but lots of variety in the poses and, a little physical drama added to keep us interested. I've noticed a few times that Rodriguez, a while ago I made a video talking about my own drawing style and how I was subconsciously scared to draw women with big boobs and nice butts because I thought that would be sexist or that people would come after me if I did that. I sense a little bit of that in Rodriguez's style where he may not even be noticing he's doing that. No one has a rear end that is the shape of a perfect cube. The Renaissance man, one of my art teachers, his first thing he gave us was a cube that we held in our hands, and we spent hours and hours learning how to draw a cube, which you would think is easy until you try to draw it in perspective and try to keep your hand steady while holding your model. No one has a rear end like that, even people who have a square-shaped behind. This is the way that someone draws a woman. If they're scared of drawing a nice round rear end and getting called a sexist for drawing it that way. And sometimes Gwenpool will have a little, skinny boy's chest. She'll have my skinny runt pigeon chest and then a couple little pinpricks where Rodriguez thinks, oh, well, I got to draw something to show where the boobs are. And they're just like tacked on top. I think Rodriguez is scared to draw women who have even remotely large breasts or remotely feminine hips because I think Rodriguez is subconsciously afraid of getting called a sexist for it. But I think he draws really beautiful faces and poses his faces. It's just there's so much good stuff, but it's just not grabbing me. And when a video ago I talked about wanting to summarize Spider-Man, every issue of Spider-Man down to 10 words and try to get to the heart of what that story is about. And I had Spider-Gwen in mind because this is just dragging on and on, where there's an idea of responsibility, there's an idea of greater drama and a greater moral message, but it's just dragged out so long that we're losing the thread. We've been continuing this thread for issues, and I don't know what the resolution is going to be. I've seen Spider-Gwen transform into a Venom creature, but when is all of this stuff about her being in debt to Matt Murdock, the Kingpin, or somehow being in debt to Cindy Moon, this mad spider scientist lady? When is this all going to pay off? When's the payoff coming for me? And the cool thing about this is Cindy Moon essentially tells Spider-Gwen that, I didn't, just because I gave you the spider powers doesn't mean I gave you all the rage and the emotional problems you have. You're responsible for that. So that was kind of cool. But where are we going with it? Okay, here's the toxic, violent, anger issues character who, when I'm sure she ends up in a lesbian romance, her lesbian wife is going to be walking around with sunglasses and will have many instances of falling down the stairs because this is a toxically violent character. And if you have toxic, violent fantasies about punching straight white men in the face, I've got news for you. It's not just straight white men you want to punch in the face, it's underlying anger issues that you need to resolve. So, not Mary Jane, a toxic, violent, immoral character that no child should be exposed to or should be taught that this is a role model you should follow. Oh, I'm so unprofessional. Oh, good grief. I'm going to edit this out. All right. Sorry, guys. All right. Then Spider-Gwen breaks out of prison. She sees kind of biracial Felicia Hardy, who apparently has been in prison for a while and barely gets out. And, this horrible, gigantic eye patch Nick Fury, female Nick Fury. That's not an eye patch to cover an eye. That's an eye patch to cover a scar like Prince Zuko has in Avatar: The Last Airbender. This is apparently Falcon, and he's raring to go, but they tell him about all these silly world problems like giant Thor frogs are attacking and tell him, cool your jets and we'll call you when there's a real emergency. And then someone calls teenage black girl Captain America, whose boob is growing out of her armpit. Okay, so what I want to talk about now is this annoying? Is this replacement theory? Is this SJW Marvel? And look, this is an alternate universe where You can do different things with the characters. I don't care if they make Matt Murdock the Kingpin in an alternate universe. I don't care if they make Captain America a black girl in an alternate universe. So some people in SJW Marvel seem to think that the right are all Nazis, the right are all racists. Haha, if we put black characters in the comic, it will annoy them and trigger those nasty, racist, alt-right types. And what I'd like to let, if you are on the left and wondering what my opinions are, I just want to let you know honestly, I don't care. I don't care if they make Captain America a black girl in this universe. This isn't annoying because I don't like black characters, or I don't like seeing white characters changed into black characters. This is annoying because not because of that. It's annoying because I know what the intention of SJW Marvel is in creating this character, and I know, and I have so little confidence in their ability to tell any kind of story with weight with this character. If I had confidence about their ability to tell a story and grab my interest and give it some impact, this would be exciting. Wow, a fresh take on Captain America. She's a black girl in this world. Okay, go with that. Tell me a story with the character, but they haven't told me a story with Spider-Gwen yet, so why should I have any confidence they can tell me a story with the black girl Captain America of this universe? I don't. I have no confidence in this book, and Rodriguez has been a selling point for me because of the expressive art, but even with some laziness in Rodriguez's style, I just feel like it's time to dip out, because if they haven't caught my interest yet, if they haven't given me some emotional impact yet, they may never do it. There's so much possibility. Ben Parker is alive, the person who instilled Peter Parker with the idea that with great power comes great responsibility. He's alive in this universe. Let's see Ben Parker. Let's see the character of the man who inspired the character that we love with heroism. What is he, like a surrogate father for Spider-Gwen? Does he instill in her those same values? Let's play with the ideas, play with the world, play with the characters, do something. And this pacing needs to pick up. I think I am going to do that 10-word summary of both of these versions of Spider-Man, because I think that'll prove my point without me having to belabor it. I'm #1 Marmaduke fan. Love you guys. Catch you later.